Hello friends. I wanted to make a video to give some acknowledgements to a friend of mine, a mentor of mine, who's having a huge influence on my life at this moment. And his name is Jator Pierre. And I've just completed his RestoreSixty program. And I wanted to give some acknowledgements around that. For me, it was a really important and powerful 60 days where we dove into nutrition, gut health, nutritional perspectives. But not only that, it's something deeper. It's not just a diet or a program around like the literal realm of what you eat and when you eat and how. It's more around how you eat and how you relate to food. But not only that, it's deeper than that. It's like how we orient ourselves in life. So in the beginning, the first two modules are centered around like, what is your purpose? And getting clear on what one's purpose is. And for me, this was very timely and confronting. Having that structure and that framework of there being, a course and therefore, like an investment, got me to look at my intended purpose in life and reevaluate it and take my time with that and just strip everything back that I had already put into this thought process and question the underlying values that inform that. And ultimately what I ended up with was not much different on one level. The literal wording was a little different, but it wasn't. But the way I owned that and the way I experienced myself in relation to my defined purpose was way richer and deeper, and is still deepening. Some days I question it even further and question, where did I learn that? So a lot of the modules in the course and the Facebook group are geared around these questions, like, what does food represent to you? What does, whatever problems we're having with our digestion, IBS, constipation. One of the huge takeaways for me was how we digest, assimilate, and eliminate food is analogous to how we digest and assimilate and eliminate our experience of life, i.e. our emotions, our mental processes, our relationships. And often if you ask Jator a question, his Q&As are brilliant because he empowers you by putting it back in your court, putting the question back in your court. It's like, why am I constipated? Well, how are you constipated in life? How are you inhibiting your experience of life? How are you not digesting and assimilating life's experiences? And it really gets you thinking and experiencing and feeling into the realm of metaphor, the realm of symbology. What do things represent to me? What does constipation represent to me? for instance. I mean, you know, in my case, that experience for me is some insights I had around that for my own personal experience was how I'm frozen and how I'm stuck in launching my business, how I'm frightened of taking the next step because I don't know the next step, and instead holding on and thinking I need to gather more data and gather more. It's like a constipated way of living. I'm not taking what's there and processing that and moving forward. I'm getting stuck. And there's a lot more for me to feel around that, and it shows up in my body. So it's beautiful the way that Jator brings these metaphors to our attention and enables us to see how the body is expressive of the mental and emotional experiences of life. So that was a very cool piece for me. I have some notes here as well that are things that stood out for me. For most people, this diet may be restrictive. It may be taking things away, especially if you eat processed food and grains and things like that. You might find it limiting. I'm a rare cat in this season of my life that actually it was the opposite. I was actually living for the last 2 years on a practically zero carb diet, and all of a sudden I had this spectrum of foods that I was like, oh my god, I'm like reintroducing foods during an elimination phase. So that was very interesting, because I reintroduced starchy, resistant starches, like so starchy vegetables like sweet potato. I haven't gone down the potato route yet, like the white potato route. I'm still a little bit wary of those, but plantains and bananas. I was eating green bananas. Now, bananas, I've learned, it took me a few weeks to really put my finger on what was causing it, but bananas, I've learned that I'm intolerant to them. So while everyone else was stripping back their diet and eliminating things, I was actually reintroducing things that I hadn't eaten in years. And yeah, breaks my heart, but I was like so excited about the taste of bananas in the beginning. And then after a couple of weeks of having very IBS symptoms, we'll just say, I was like, there's something going on here. And what's changed? What's the one thing? And I was like, bananas. So I've eliminated them again. And I seem golden. So that was an interesting little piece. I've also learned that protein consumption, I've been eating too much for my physical expenditure, which is saying something because I'm very active, extremely active. So to be eating more than my needs is quite interesting and surprising. One new habit that has really started to flourish during this period, I've been doing it on and off for years, but it's really gaining some traction now, and that is daily journaling. specifically around like checking in with what gains I've made or what wins I've had during the day or during the week. At the end of the week, I might do a what are the big takeaways of the week? Because the human brain, the ego, fixated on survival, is looking for danger all the time. It's looking for the negative so that it can keep you alive. So the human mind fixates on these things, and we always remember all the things that went wrong, and it's so easy, it's so habitual to focus on those things. And building in the habit of looking at how, oh look, I look at my progress. Actually, look, I got this right, and I got this right, and I got this right, and actually I'm not in the same place. Having that check-in with yourself at least once a week, and preferably daily, gives us a sense of momentum, and gives us a sense of moving forward, which then propels the next day and propels the next like movement, and reinforces the positivity and the progress that we're making. And in my experience, draws in more. Just these micro wins. It's just so beautiful. And just journaling with that as a context is very purposeful, and like has made a significant difference. And like, I want to journal at the end of the day. And sometimes I sit there and I'm like, I don't know what to say. Immediately my mind goes to all the things that went wrong, all the things I could have done better. Not that that's bad, not that that's wrong, that's very useful. And I will write about that stuff. But just to find like maybe 3 things that have gone well for me, and that I've done that are aligned with my commitment and my purpose and my vision for life. That is a hugely powerful practice, and it is definitely gaining traction in my life at this moment. So thank you, Jator, for that one. And yeah, just to speak on Jator, my experience of who he is, or how he shows up in my life. He's an extremely clear, precise, measured, compassionate, and respectful communicator. And there's just something about the way he communicates the information, where it comes from, that it makes, for me, it makes it so digestible and easy to how to choose my words wisely. Easy to digest and assimilate, which is very interesting. He's got this beautiful expression of masculine and feminine balance, in my experience. He is a proper alpha male who does all the alpha male stuff, training and ice hockey and all of his manly stuff. I don't know what he does all, but he's definitely got that alpha male thing going on, my experience. Whilst also being able to, not just able to, but consistently connecting with his emotions and giving voice to what's coming up for him in a moment. And that can take some turns that you just really couldn't ever expect, because he's coming from the heart and he's present with you and he meets you where you are, and he doesn't know where it's going to go, a coaching session or a video. There's a framework and there's a structure there, but where we go in that structure, and there's just so much variability, and that's that beautiful balance of having the masculine structure and then allowing creativity to dance within that. And this is, again, another one of the huge takeaways for me, is this, for me, I'm a kind of flowy, kind of a little bit habitually, a little bit mind is scattered. And this program has introduced me to structure, and parts of me are resistant to that, parts of me don't like it, but there is a grounding there that Jator demonstrates beautifully, that I'm like, I want that. I want that. So if that's what it takes, then I am willing to introduce structure in my life so that I can let this creative energy flow within structure, and then it has balance. And parts of me are resistant to it. Rigidity, it represents rigidity to me. So yeah, still finding my balance with that one, and there's a bit of work to be done, but the introduction has been done, and I'm hugely grateful to Jator and the RestoreSixty team for all of their like beautiful support and beautiful wisdom. So that's a long video, and I'm going to leave it there. I could ramble on all night, but I think that's enough for now. I highly recommend the RestoreSixty program. 60 days to dive into nutrition, gut health, and the mental and emotional habitual patterns around what food represents to you, and how that relates to how you digest and assimilate and eliminate your life experiences. Powerful stuff, my friends. Powerful stuff. All right. Thank you very much for listening. Love ya.